My dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, today, as we gather to celebrate our patron saint, Saint Anthony of Padua, and this being our first gathering after the pandemic, one thing comes to mind. It is a lesson this pandemic has taught us. This pandemic, if for nothing at all, has reminded us that indeed humanity was created for communion. Humanity was created for relationships. And so today, having missed each other, having yearned for the company of each other, gathering for the first time, our first reaction will be a handshake, a hug, and a smile. But Coven, the policeman, is saying, I am still around. Be careful what you do. This morning, in the midst of COVID-19, St. Anthony of Padua serves as a perfect example for us. And so today, I am reflecting with you on the theme, the example of Saint Anthony. The example of Saint Anthony. Now, example in the sense that when you say something as an example, it means that that thing is worthy or fit to be imitated. And today I am proposing Saint Anthony to you in the face of this pandemic as someone whose life ought to be imitated by us who are Marshallans, because he is our patron saint. Dear friends, historically we are told that Saint Anthony of Padua lived between the years of 1195 and 1231. He died at the age of 36. At the age of 36. Now, from the age of 15 to 25, he was an Augustinian. For the last 11 years of his life, St. Anthony became a Franciscan. He became a Franciscan, we are told, when he encountered the proto-martyrs who had been killed in Morocco, and their bodies have been returned home. They inspired him, and he said to himself, I, Anthony, will go to Africa and die for the gospel. But as God will have his own plan for St. Anthony, this desire of dying for the gospel in Africa as a martyr never materialized. Because God had other plans for him. And so by divine design, St. Anthony found himself in Italy among the Franciscans. And strangely, they did not discover anything extraordinary about him. And they assigned him cooking and cleaning of dishes. And again, as if by divine design, there was an ordination ceremony, history has it, that the Dominicans who are noted for their preaching, for whatever reason, strangely that day, did not prepare to preach. And so under obedience, St. Anthony was asked to preach. Now, seizing the opportunity in explaining the word of God, St. Anthony made a deep impression upon them. And from that period, he was entrusted with the duty of proclaiming the gospel in Italy and France. St. Anthony's life was motivated by these few words He says, let your words teach and your actions speak. Let your words teach and your actions speak. He also encourages us by saying, be just as God made you to be. My dear friends, I had said earlier that I am proposing St. Anthony as a model in this pandemic. And this is the reason. He had a cherished dream of dying in Africa as a martyr of the gospel. However, this dream could not be materialized. But instead of giving in to despair, instead of giving in to hopelessness, St. Anthony did not. At the beginning of the year, you had magnificent plans for your lives. You planned the very things you would do during the course of this year. Then out of the blue, COVID-19 strikes. And as a result of COVID-19, your life has been thrown off gear. What then should be your response after the virus? You see, our greatness is measured in how we overcome difficulties and challenges, in how we reorganize ourselves to be able to move on. And that is the lesson St. Anthony provides for us. He was not bitter. He did not complain against God. That God, out of love for you, I wanted to go to Africa and die for the gospel. Now look at me. Here I am, cleaning dishes, cooking. He never complained. But rather, in every disappointment, he looked at it from the eyes of the Lord. He saw failure as a guiding post, telling him that God is leading him through another direction. Instead of seeing the bad things of COVID-19, why don't you look at it from this angle? That as a result of COVID-19, you have been able to bond with your children, because you have spent more time in the house. As a result of COVID-19, you have been able to bond with your wife, with your husband, because you have spent more time in the house. As a result of COVID-19, we have realized that indeed the love of the family should never be taken for granted. The presence of the father in the family, the presence of the child in the family, the presence of the wife in the family should never be taken for granted. If we can look at it from this angle, then we also will see failure, will see challenges as a guiding post, telling us that indeed God is leading us through a different direction. St. Anthony was known as a man of prayer and a great scripture and theology scholar. Now, the eloquence of his preaching and the holiness of his life made a deep impression on people. Today, my question is, as a Marshallan, St. Anthony has made a deep impression upon you. The challenge is this: how many brothers, how many sisters, as a result of your deep impression, have you brought to the fold? Because Jesus says to us, we are to go out and share the message. And that in sharing the message, we are to make a deep impression on people. so that they also can come to the fold. St. Anthony has become a perfect example for us because of two things. He had a special love for the Eucharistic Jesus, that is Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. Secondly, he also had a special love for the Blessed Mother. And because of his love for the Blessed Mother, because of his love for Jesus in the Eucharist, his life has become a shining example for us. Today, as we celebrate our patron saints, among the numerous lessons we are learning from him, I leave you with this. When life becomes hopeless, think of St. Anthony. Learn from St. Anthony, and let us look at it from the angle of God, from the way of God, and with the mindset of God.